What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Big Blue Avenue. I'm Tom Scavetta, joined alongside Sam Cardona Norberg. First off, Sam, welcome back. We missed you last week. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Earlier start time tonight.
I know, yeah. Thank you so much. I definitely felt weird last week not being on. I felt like I was not prepared going into this weekend at all. I feel like this is my preparation going into it. But happy to be back. Happy to talk some Giants and talk about this upcoming game because it's a big one for us.
Huge game. A lot of news surrounding Big Blue this week. We're going to have my buddy Fogg on tonight on the show. Eagles expert, had him on a couple times in the past. But before we dive into our key takeaways from week 6, Sam, if you're new, make sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And I just discovered this before the show. We can now show headlines here. Maybe I'm late to the party and boomer-esque, but there it is at Big Blue Avenue. I'll leave that up for a moment there. But Sam, it was tough on Sunday night. It was really, really tough to watch. And unfortunately, the common denominator here was the quarterback play, was the inability to stop the run, and just the play calling at times. It wasn't terrible, but what's the word I'm looking for? When you pivot, when you do something on the fly, the Giants really struggled with that. They couldn't elaborate on plays and make good plays, but they held Joe Burrow pretty well, and that's a big credit to players like Dexter Lawrence and Azeez Ojulari.
Absolutely. And I'm actually just going to cross-reference here. I think this might be the least amount of – oh, no, it's not. I was thinking this might have been the least amount of points that the Bengals have scored in a single game. It says that they only scored 10 against the Patriots, but nonetheless, to have this team keep Joe Burrow and the Bengals to 17 points is impressive in and of itself, but we got to get more points on the board. We can't just score one touchdown and just think, great, this is it. So it definitely was a bit of a snooze fest. First of all, I was sitting there watching it man, this could be such a better game, and it's just not. And I was not happy with Daniel, unfortunately. It was not looking too good again, and he goes up and down every week, which is unfortunate, but I think it just kind of solidifies the case of him probably not sticking around for next season because he has these good games, but they're just not consistent.
Yeah, he's an enigma, as we all know. There's some games where he looks great, others where he looks terrible. And LPG, I was following him today, and what he was telling people, it's over. I'm sorry, it's over. The question is, right now, yes, the Giants are 2-4, but they don't even have a top 10 draft pick. And the way I look at these games, Sam, the Giants are much better than what's advertised to the national media, to TV analysts and experts, which is why as content creators for the Giants, well, not for the Giants, but doing a podcast on the Giants, I think it's good to give people that inside scoop because this team is not that far off. There's a couple positions that need to be replaced. And I think, Sam, it's not as surprising to people like you and I when the Giants are in these games against teams that are supposed to be light years ahead of them. That's not the case. It's just the most important position on this team is what's lacking.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get into it, but we're having some key guys not being able to play not only this weekend, but for the rest of the season. And it's going to be detrimental to our team. And honestly, I said this to Jordan this past week. I would not be surprised if we see Drew Lock and or Tommy DeVito this season because there's no way Daniel Jones stays healthy for the rest of the year. I'm very convinced he's going to have some sort of injury.
He can't be the team's leading rusher. I thought Tyrone Tracy had a great game. Sam, I was telling you about Tracy.
You did.
I was telling you about him, and Theo as well.
Yes.
He's starting to emerge. He's surpassed Daniel Bellinger already, in my opinion, as far as receiving goes.
I know. I really want to see more out of Theo. I feel like he could be a very a part of this offense that we haven't even tapped into yet. And I was expecting it with Bellinger these past few years, and we just didn't get it. And I really think Theo can do that for us because apparently, Bellinger's our blocking tight end. He's not going to be somebody who scores points for us, at least not every week. So I would love to see more of Theo.
And let's be clear, too, Bellinger has a role on this team. It's just not a receiving role. It's blocking. It's special teams blocking. That's what it is. He'll make a catch every 2 or 3 games. Still has great hands, by the way. Just want to throw that out there. So quickly, before we get to Andrew Thomas, Daniel Jones, 1-14 in primetime over his career, 0-8 at home. It wasn't a great game, and unfortunately, the Giants are going to have to be in primetime again against the Pittsburgh Steelers for Week 8, a Monday Night Football game. So we'll see how the team plays against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, before we preview that game, Sam, we have to talk about Andrew Thomas, the elephant in the room, suffering a serious Lisfranc injury, ending his season, the all-pro left tackle, anchored an offensive line, in my opinion, that has really come a long way since last season. They look like a top 10 unit in football right now. And I think the biggest thing too, Sam, through the first 6 games, all 5 guys were on the field for all 413 offensive snaps. First 6 games, not first 5 games. First 6 games, all 5 guys are out there every single snap. And unfortunately, that ends here with this foot injury for AT.
This is horrific for us. I would not be surprised if this alters our entire season. And part of the reason why I mentioned the possibility of Daniel Jones getting hurt again this year, because I just don't see the offensive line being as strong. I don't want to put any, bad hate towards Illuminor or any of these guys because they are talented, but Andrew Thomas is the root of that offensive line. And without him there, it's just really, really unfortunate. And I mean, you got to do what you got to do. He had his surgery today or yesterday, and he's, I'm glad that they did it as soon as possible, but man, what a loss for the Giants. It's awful.
And there was a big reason why he gave up 2 sacks on Sunday Night Football. He was playing through the injury. Trey Hendrickson got the better of him.
Right.
And yeah, that's basically what happened. I thought Illuminor would move to left tackle this week. I don't think that's entirely out of the option. I think they want to see how Azudu does, give him the first crack. But I was listening to Dayball's presser today, Sam. It's going to be Azudu at left tackle. Azudu has been training to be the backup left tackle, and Neal has been training to be the backup right tackle. And I think what's happened over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of cross-training, and there's been no consistency. So I think having Josh worry about just one position, Evan Neal worry about just one position, I think it's going to do wonders for this position unit. And I don't know when Schlottman is coming back, but there is an open spot now as far as reserve offensive linemen because you still have Aaron Stinney and you still have Jay Kubis, who, again, even the reserves this year are a little better. I would say Stinney is probably our top reserve, but he's a guard. We can't throw him out there.
Absolutely. I mean, you kind of said it. You did it. There's really not much else to say about this whole situation other than I can't imagine we excel the rest of the season. I'm not going to say that we're not going to win another game, but it's not going to be as strong of a season as we were anticipating originally.
Yeah, I went 7-10. I still think that's a possibility because it's a well-coached team. But Andrew Thomas, in my opinion, he's not the best player on the offense anymore with Malik Neighbors now, but he was the most important player on the offense. The Giants could still win games without Malik Neighbors, and they proved that the last 2 weeks against Seattle and almost doing it against Cincinnati. And quickly here, I want to talk about the defense, Sam, before we get to our player of the week.
Yeah.
26 sacks. That leads the National Football League. How impressed are you with this pass rush? And no Kayvon Thibodeau this past week.
Yeah, the defense is our shining light. They really are. And was even talking to a coworker of mine who was asking me what quarterback to start in fantasy. He said Jalen Hurts or Kirk Cousins, and I said the Eagles are playing the Giants this weekend. I really don't think you should start Jalen Hurts because the defense is that good, and literally, even with Kayvon's injury and everything, I'm so impressed with them, and we'll talk about it in a second with our player of the week. But there have just been so many shining lights on this team that are reemerging as people that we haven't seen in this team and doing well in this team, which is really refreshing.
Absolutely. Brian Attard saying, "What's up? Hello. Beat the Eagles. Please and thank you. God bless."
I hope so.
Brian, Cowboys, Yankees, Rangers, living in the Philly area, I salute you.
Go friend. Yankees. Sorry, Tom.
Absolutely. No. I would like to see a Subway Series, World Series.
Oh, my God. It would be so good.
The city would crumble. And the Yankees would win, but the city would crumble.
It would be, yeah. I think we might have to call martial law or something. It might get a little hectic.
What's up, Johnny Montalbano, who filled in for you, Sam, last week. Johnny, hi, you too. Welcome back. Tough part about Sunday night is it felt like we took 2 steps forward this year, and Sunday night we took those 2 steps back and then some. Well put, for sure. Johnny, hope you enjoyed your trip up to Wilmington earlier this week in North Carolina.
Ooh, lovely.
Yep. But yeah, Johnny Montalbano, thank you as always. And I think one thing too about this defense, Shane Bowen has them playing at a very high level, right? Where Aziz stepped in, Sam, and he did not miss a beat. And
absolutely.
I think that's why it was pretty much a slam dunk as to who was going to win our New York Giants player of the week.
Yep, and it was immediate. It was immediate reaction. Azeez Ojulari is our player of the week this week. I texted Tom maybe seconds after the game was over, and I was like, this is our guy. 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits versus the Bengals. It's a great, great way to get the hold on Joe Burrow here. They led the New York Giants. He led the New York Giants with 18.8% pass rush win rate. And this past season, in the matter of 6 games, 14 tackles, 3 tackle for loss, 3 sacks. And Ojulari has played 43% of the defensive snaps this year, a little less than half. Last New York Giant in the 2021 draft pick that is still on the roster. And we talked about how unimpressed we've been with Azeez Ojulari recently. And you're someone who's been very high on him since he's been drafted. And I think what I was alluding to earlier was how impressed I was to see him come out, shine, and do what he has to do as a defensive member of this team, because we really needed it. And he shined so bright this past week.
And I remember that draft very well. It was one of our first streams working together, Sam. I know we had some 2020 cross shows there, but that 2021 draft, the night we took Kadarius Toney, I thought we were taking Azeez Ojulari, and I wouldn't shut up about that the entire show on Andy's live stream. And then Azeez winds up going to the Giants, but the problem is with Aziz's career, it's been the same stuff. The potential's been there, but he's unable to remain healthy, and that's a big problem. And Azeez now with 3 sacks on the season, definitely excited with what I see. And this just goes to show you how bad that 2021 draft class was, that Azeez is the only one left on that roster. We're talking about Aaron Robinson, who missed like 2 years of time, Rodarius Williams, Gary Brightwell. I mean, these guys are like closet players at this point. No disrespect, because I know Aaron Robinson watched one of our shows once, or he did watch one of my interviews with Brian McCardle, UCF.
Really?
Fan. Robinson went to UCF, so Brian talked him up a lot on our college football show one year, and then one day we reshared something, tagged him in, and he actually looked at it. I'm like, oh,
amazing,
crazy. All the best to you, Aaron Robinson, by the way, if small chance that you're watching. But let's waste no time, Sam. Folks, if you have any comments throughout the course of the show, feel free to drop them. We would love to get to them as soon as possible. The Eagles are kryptonite. But the last time we played them was week 18 of last season. We beat them 27-10. They're on a downturn right now. And I'll say this, even though the Giants took a step back, long term, I'd rather be a player on the Giants than a player on the Eagles because, again, I don't know the conversations that maybe, you and Jordan have had or, what the conversation we'll have with Fogg later on. But I know one Eagles fan that I talked to, he's done with this team. He wants it canned. Like, these guys are aging. Lane Johnson's getting old. Brandon Graham is retiring after this season. Their window is closing. And I think as the veterans leave, Hurts is going to really get exposed. He's not an awful quarterback. I think he has good intangibles, Sam, as a quarterback, but his quarterback mechanics are just very, very messy. And they really only looked great when Shane Steichen was the offensive coordinator. Last year, it was Brian Johnson. He sort of took the fall, right? He was the lamb chop for Jalen Hurts. That's not a good reference, but you get the point. This season, they have Kellen Moore, wonderful offensive mind. And it took him until week 6 to finally put together a solid performance where you can say, yeah, Jalen Hurts is still a quarterback that I would consider as a top half of the league quarterback. It took until week 6, in my opinion. Maybe you disagree, but that's how I feel about him at this juncture.
No, I agree. And that's something that Jordan, our residential Eagles fan on this show, has talked to me about is she wants Shane Steichen back. Like, she wishes that he was never gone because he was a huge part of why that team got as good as they did. And from the losses on the line, Jason Kelsey, and even the loss of Fletcher Cox, like, it's very, very obvious how it's affecting this team. And we'll talk about Nick Sirianni, but oh my God, what a clown. I have zero respect for that man. I wish I could find something to say good about him. I don't have any respect for him. I don't know if you saw the post-game press conference where all he said was, "We're just happy we got the win." He said it like 7 times, and he has all of his kids with him. And I'm like, you just won 4 points. You beat the Cleveland Browns. That's not impressive. So, and they had Devontae Smith and those guys back, and it's like, you're obviously that wasn't the issue. The issue is just this team not being as strong as it was originally. And Kellen Moore is a great coach, a great coordinator, and we saw that in Dallas as well. But something's not clicking, and I'm pretty sure Nick Sirianni is the nucleus of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have too much respect for him either, going at it with the fans, making excuses for himself. And it's been a thing since 21, since he took, or 22. Or no, yeah, 21 since he took over as head coach. What's up, Andy Hopper? Brew Party from the Stands resident, Champaign, Illinois. How are you feeling, Sam? I'll let you take this one.
First of all, thank you, Andrew, for commenting. Saquon. It's going to be very, very interesting to see this game. I know I saw a bunch of reports today about Saquon talking about how this is not that big of a deal. For us, it's a big deal. In my opinion, this is a big deal. I think that he's probably just downplaying it for the media, but this is like, for you to return after everything that happened this past offseason, after everything that was going on in Hard Knocks, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal, and I'm going to be feeling so many different emotions watching this game for sure. Like, I don't even know how I'm going to feel until I'm actually watching it, but I know that seeing Saquon in an Eagles jersey playing the Giants is going to make me feel some type of way.
I love Saquon. I wish him well. I wish him success.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to score Sunday, Andy. If you're watching this, you want to bet an anytime touchdown on Saquon Barkley. He's going to score in this game. And I'm telling you that with full-fledged confidence. But I don't like that he went to the Eagles, of course. I don't like him for that. Do I hate him? No. I don't hate anybody. I don't have it in me to. But this is a guy that is fourth in the NFL in rushing. He's playing behind a better offensive line. The Giants had to use the money they would have gave him and Xavier McKinney to get Brian Burns. So we could talk about this till we're blue in the face, Sam.
Right.
Tyrone Tracy running for 110 yards tells you why you don't have to pay a running back $14 million a year. But it's the leadership of Saquon that you miss. And you've seen Daniel Jones step up and take on some of that leadership role, a little bit more vocal this season. What up, Tom Major? Thank you very much. Friend of mine from Naples, Florida. Hope you're doing well as well with the storm, Tom. Appreciate it. Very welcome. He's adding it. Are you adding it? Do you think Saquon scores Sunday?
I might just do that.
Ryan Day. Ryan Day. I dislike Ryan Day just as much as Nick Sirianni, Andy. Strongly dislike. I don't appreciate him calling out Lou Holtz on when Notre Dame played Ohio State a couple of years ago. And what's up, Kevin Xavier saying, hey, guys, let's go Giants. That's right. We've got the Giants-Eagles preview here for you, folks, if you're watching. We love you all very much and appreciate it. If you give us a like, not because we like the likes, it helps with the algorithm. Get us shown to more people across the internet. That would be beautiful. But good news, Sam, this week, Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary both rumored to return. Now, Brian Daboll did state today that it'll be Greg Joseph and Matt Hack again this week. Most likely, no Jamie Gillen. Graham Gano is eligible to come off of IR. His window will not open. Gunnar Olszewski's window will not open yet, and we need Gunnar back badly. That punt returner we have, it's like calling a fair catch is like a death wish for him. Like, he will not call fair catches. I don't know if you noticed that on Sunday Night Football. I don't even know his name. I think it's Emir Smith-Marset.
Mm-hmm.
He just takes all these hits. He doesn't call fair catches. He's bobbled punts. I'm not confident in him at all, and it's been a problem. Like, we need guys back healthy, and thank God these two are back for Big Blue.
For sure.
Andy says, I like the likes. Andy, I like working with you as well. We're going to be working together right after this, I believe. Had to double up tonight. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what happens with the Giants as far as the injury and personnel department goes. Malik Neighbors has missed the last 2 weeks with a concussion. He's still working through the protocol, but it's looking very promising. Devin Singletary nursing that groin issue. But Sam, we talked about earlier on this show that the Eagles were trending downward from 2023, right? They got off to a hot start. They finished the season 1-5. They've picked up right where they left off in 2023. The reason why they're 3-2, the scheduling, it's worked in their favor so far. If you look, they're only 3-point favorites in this game. Last year or the year before, they're at least 7-point favorites against the Giants, at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I was just looking through my FanDuel app just now. I'll probably place that Saquon bet later because I just could not find it. But I was considering taking that Giants with the spread, because it's 3 points. Why not? It's just goes to show that even the sports books are realizing the type of play that the Eagles are doing. It's just not up to par, and it's not at all where they used to be. So, it just kind of, the numbers show, the sports books really show it, and it's pretty crazy.
And we talked about, too, the Eagles coming off a 20-16 win against the Browns. They have not won any game by more than 5 points this season. So this will more than likely not, Sam, be a 5-point or less game if history continues to trend. And history does have a tendency, unfortunately, to repeat itself when it comes to bad NFL omens or in general. But I think the biggest thing, too, we cannot afford to fall to 0-3 in the NFC East. The division is up for grabs this year. Washington is in first place right now. Their schedule gets a lot tougher. I love Jaden Daniels. I think he's already proving that he's a top 10 quarterback, but their schedule is going to get tougher at some point, and they're not a team, in my opinion, that's going to win 12 to 13 games. I don't see it. I see them maxing out at like 11. I think they're going to hit a little midseason slump a little bit, Sam, as the schedule gets tougher. And that's why it's so important that the Giants start to win these games. A team like Philadelphia, like if the Giants win on Sunday, Nick Sirianni might not make it back down the Jersey Turnpike on Sunday night as the head coach. I mean, that's how bad this is. Like, the Giants are 3-point underdogs, and they should not. And that is, I think, partially it's a credit to the way Joe Schoen has built this roster with Brian Daboll and Brandon Brown and Tim Mara over the past 3 seasons. But it's also due to the fact that the Eagles are trending downward, and it's coaching. It's coaching, and I hate to say it, Sam, you have to throw Howie Roseman in there as well. It has been very, very concerning. They're running through offensive coordinators like water, and they seem to like to poach a lot of our former players, not just Saquon.
Yeah, I know. We have quite a number of players that are in the quote-unquote revenge game this upcoming weekend. And I know that just from talking to an Eagles fan pretty much daily, Jordan says, like, she loves Howie Roseman. She loves the moves that they make. And for them, like, in that moment, it's, like, really receptive. And, like, it's like he gives them exactly what they need in that exact moment. But long term, it's, like, not – I don't know. Like, the foundation seems to not be as solid as he thinks it is. But he definitely goes out there and gets things done for them. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't, because he really does do that. But dang, I don't know what it is about Giants players. They all want to go to Philadelphia, and like, sure, but it just doesn't really make any sense.
Look at this, Andy. Brian Daboll is in his Slim Shady era.
He is. He looks so thin. It's like unreal how much weight he lost.
He said he went from, what he was now to just overweight. And personally, I don't even know if he's overweight anymore. He's continuing to, good for him though. Good for him. Very happy for him.
Yeah.
Prioritizing his health as he should. Andy says, I think it's too early for that.
Yeah, I'm realizing
you're probably
that now.
right. Bears Commanders has already been flexed next week. Kudos to you guys.
Picks number 1 and 2 makes a lot of sense. I think every week Jaden Daniels does something that impresses me. Like, every single week. He is a phenomenal quarterback. And him playing up against Lamar last week, I mean, and that's the guy that everybody's comparing him to. They put up a fight. It wasn't, the Ravens didn't run away with that.
His worst game statistically was against the Giants.
Amazing.
Just saying. Couple more comments here. Daboll has lost a ton of weight. I did not recognize him at first without the sunglasses on. Yeah.
No, he's a different person.
But yeah, former Giants on the Eagles. We know Saquon. Nick Gates, backup lineman, former starter for the Giants. Jack Stahl, who spent the offseason here, is now their number 2 tight end due to the Dallas Goedert injury. He didn't even make our roster. What were we thinking there? James Bradbury, on injured reserve, he will not play. Paris Campbell, all of a sudden, who looks like an NFL wide receiver again.
Yeah, what's that about? What the heck is that? Paris, literally like garbage on our team. Just like a Hall of Famer in Philadelphia. Like, what the heck?
What quarterback are the Giants taking in the top 10? Andy, we're not even in the top 10 right now.
We're 12 right now.
Yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a quarterback available that the Giants will like, because I think, Sam, I had this conversation with a coworker the last couple weeks. The writing's on the wall for Daniel Jones. We all know that.
Right.
Bridge quarterback, call him whatever you want. I don't want to move on from him until I know we have our quarterback of the future. I don't want to take a quarterback just to take one. And the Giants showed us that. They could have easily taken J.J. McCarthy, 6th overall. They did not do that. He didn't even go into the top 10. Now, Andy, I'm not saying another year of Danny Dimes. What I'm saying is You can draft a quarterback. Doesn't have to be in the first round. Red shirt. You save more money if you release Jones at the end of 2025 than you do 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I think, my personal opinion, Jones should still be on the roster next season because I think the Giants are in a good enough cap situation where you should not release him because you're not going to save as much money as you want, and the Giants aren't in cap hell, thanks to Joe Shane. So, yeah, that's my thing there, and eventually have the rookie take over next year. That's if you're able to bring one in.
Right.
You know, what do you think of that?
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that it just, at this point, it's like year after year after year, we've constantly said, this is the year Daniel Jones has to prove it. This is the year Daniel Jones has to prove it. And whether it's an injury or what have you that has expanded this, test for him to see if he's our quarterback. It's like, we don't have time anymore to wait for him to be a good quarterback. And, you and I will sit there and we will support Daniel Jones until he retires from the NFL. I will always be a Daniel Jones supporter, wherever he may be. But unfortunately, with our team, it's just not really working. And like we said earlier in the show, he's not consistent. He's not consistent, and it's unfortunate.
I do want to answer Andy's question, though. I've been all over Carson Beck, but lately, Andy, he has not looked great. He looked bad against Mississippi State last week. I don't know what it is. I know Georgia's having a lot of internal issues right now. 3 of their last 5 transfer receivers since 2021 have been arrested. It's been that bad. Like every month, Sam, you're hearing about one Georgia player or multiple Georgia players getting locked up for something dumb.
Like what? Like, what have they been arrested for?
Well, one got arrested for what was it? Domestic abuse.
Oh, jeez.
You can look in. I don't want to get into too much more detail than that, but it's bad. Kirby Smart does not have control of that team, unfortunately, and it's a problem. So yeah, maybe other options I've looked at. I'm concerned about Quinn Ewers' medical history.
Yeah.
Cam Ward has looked good, but the problem with that is I don't know how he finishes the season, and he was a G5 quarterback up until last year. I want to see what he can do when he plays the meat of ACC opponents, and I think that starts this weekend at Louisville. A lot of reckless driving and speeding stuff, too. Also true.
Okay.
Dumb things that college kids do and grown adults do, unfortunately.
Sure.
Kirby is also shoving opposing players on the sidelines as well. That's right. Van Buren, the quarterback, got shoved. I don't know if that was intentional, but that looked really bad. The presentation looked awful there. But
isn't Kirby Smart like the highest paid college football coach?
And he's the best, in my opinion.
That's crazy. To be pushing opposing players, that's crazy.
I think he is right now the best football mind in college football, but man, there are some like blatantly obvious things that he just doesn't like social cute. Like he just doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But let's get to our keys of the game, Sam, before we bring up our guest. Saquon Barkley returning to MetLife. We talked about how we're feeling. I think we can both agree that we're not going to be able to shut him down. That's impossible. But I think containing him to the point where he's not dominating the game. The Giants' run defense has given up nearly 5 yards per carry this season. And I think the most important thing is, will the Giants fans try to get to him mentally? Like, how will he be greeted? I don't know. I could see him struggling early on, but, late first half, early second half, picking it up, putting the wheels on, and scoring a touchdown.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree with you. I have a feeling that he's going to come into MetLife and people are not going to be happy about it. I have a feeling that he's going to get booed. It's kind of just the nature of the game. I mean, if Tom Brady is getting booed by Patriots fans as he's returning to Foxborough as a Buccaneer, there's no way Saquon Barkley doesn't get booed. But yeah, I 100% agree with you that I think he's just he's gonna try and show off. It's just like, seeing an X in public. It's like you want to look as good as possible. So yeah, I think that he's going to ball out.
As the Dodgers take a 2-0 lead. Sam, what else do you think is key for Big Blue on Sunday? Because there is a real possibility the Giants could pull this one off.
I think we definitely have to lean into how strong our defense is right now, and the fact that Jalen Hurts and this offensive line is incredibly vulnerable. Just the way that we were doing with Joe Burrow last week. Get him down. Like, don't let him throw the ball. Don't let him run. Don't let them push, whatever it may be. Stop it as much as possible, and then get the points on the board. It's literally exactly what just happened on Sunday night. That's just the bottom line, and I think that that's one of the biggest keys to the game is just pressuring Jalen Hurts and getting through that offensive line, because it's very possible to do that.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Eagles this year. Their turnover ratio is not good, -6. Their left tackle, Jordan Mailata, is doubtful. He'll likely miss a couple of weeks. That likely means Fred Johnson or Mekhi Becton will start in his place. And not for nothing, too, I mentioned the Giants lead the league in sacks. They're 4th in QB hits. And I think, yeah, like you said, get Hurts uncomfortable. He's coming off his best performance. Smith and Brown are both back healthy. But I think, too, the same thing we just talked about, getting pressure, we got to do the opposite with our quarterback. We have to protect him with Daniel Jones. We don't know right now. Josh Azudu's taking first-team snaps at left tackle. I originally thought Neal, Sam. I was wrong. Azudu's probably going to start, but who knows what Dable is thinking. And the Eagles have some decent pass rushers. Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, Brandon Graham, who's owned the Giants throughout his career.
Yeah, no, definitely. We can't just sleep on this. They're not a horrible team, and it's divisional, but it is not out of the realm of possibility of us being able to beat them.
Yeah. I think, too, you want to exploit the Eagles' defense early because, sorry, guys, I live by LaGuardia Airport. There are planes flying over my house at 8:30 at night.
It's all good.
I'll be heading over there in the morning, or to Kennedy, actually. The Eagles' defense, they're giving up more points than what they score. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. And yeah, too, I think, Sam, the Eagles, they haven't stopped the run well either, despite what they have up front, right? The Georgia guys. We're talking about the Georgia Bulldogs being in trouble. Well, they're causing trouble in the pros. There's a lot of Georgia Bulldogs in the pros, and Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are 2 of them. And if we're going to establish Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, I remember when they drafted Jalen Carter, and Jordan was calling them the Philadelphia Bulldogs because it was just like it was all the Georgia's roster. Yeah, and it's I feel like this will be a pretty low-scoring game just because of the defenses and the lack thereof an offense on both sides. So maybe bet the under, possibly. But yeah, I think that the defenses are going to be the ones that rule this game.
And now let's get into some players to watch. For Philadelphia, Sam, 2 or 3, however many you want to talk about. Who are you watching for the Eagles this week? Folks, not necessarily the superstar players, but anybody that you think could have an impact on this game, Sam.
I am going to do the obvious. I'm going to say Saquon here just because of how we've been talking about him and how he's going to come out and most likely going to be running all over the field. I'll even say Jalen Carter on the defensive side because he's just been dominating recently. Just getting the ball, and making sure that their offense that they're going up against does not, convert to first down or anything along those lines. So I'll say those 2.
Awesome. For me, I want to throw in rookie cornerback out of Toledo, straight out of the MAC, Quinyon Mitchell, going up against another first-round rookie in Malik Neighbors. Considering he clears concussion protocol, which he is on track to do, ladies and gentlemen. Mitchell against Neighbors is going to be very, very exciting. Mitchell has 6 passes defended on the season, still looking for that first interception. Obviously, Saquon, that's a given. We've talked about him the whole show. He still has incredible jump cuts. He's changing directions well. He's using his offensive linemen as shields in short goal line yardage situations. But for me, it's not wide receiver 1. It's wide receiver 2, Devontae Smith. In 4 games played this season, he has 24 catches for 303 yards and 2 scores. He will likely draw the Cordell Flott assignment. I don't know about you, Sam. I think there's more of a drop-off between Devontae Smith and Cordell Flott, as where I think Smith is significantly better than Flott. A.J. Brown, in my opinion, even though he's probably a top 10, 15 receiver, he's not significantly better than Deonte Banks.
Yeah. And A.J. Brown's kind of been MIA apart from the injury and everything along those lines. He's not doing nearly as much as he's done in the past.
No. Granted, he's only played in 2 games this season. He's looked very, very impressive. But in 4 career games against the Giants, just 15 catches, 254 yards, and 1 score, compared to Devontae Smith.
Ooh.
In 5 games against the Giants, 3 touchdowns, 312 yards, and 23 catches. So Smith has been more successful against Big Blue.
I mean, the good thing here, guess who they don't have anymore? Boston Scott.
Yes.
Who always runs over us every single time. So that's a plus in that department. We don't have to worry about him this week.
Absolutely. That's well put. And I think for Philly, too, it's going to be key whoever steps up at tight end, because Dallas Goedert dealing with a hamstring issue, likely not playing this week. I don't want to say that for sure, but hamstrings are tricky. He only played 3 snaps against the Browns this past week. Grant Calcaterra came in, had 4 catches for 67 yards. Expect Jack Stoll to get some more playing time this week as well in 12 personnel sets. Jack Stoll spent the summer with the Giants, went back down to Philly, took the Giants playbook with him, most likely, and could give Calcaterra and Kellen Moore a few hinters on how to exploit this Giants defense. So, Sam, let's get to the Giants. Who are we watching for Big Blue?
Oh, man. Nobody. No, I'm just kidding. I definitely, you gas this guy up, and I kind of was indifferent about him, but Tyron Tracy has really just stepped up to the plate, and I'd love to see him shine even brighter, and I definitely want to keep my eyes on him and see how well he can rush against this defense, because it's a true testament here to him as a player going into this type of game. And I'll even say Wan'Dale as well, because he's been stepping up to the plate with Malik Neighbors gone. Seeing Wan'Dale Robinson contributing to this offense. I mean, Jalen Hyatt's still on a milk carton. Haven't seen him, but Wan'Dale exactly. Wan'Dale has been doing what he needs to do. And hopefully, Dexter Lawrence, you were saying, didn't practice today, but I'm sure he will be playing this weekend. Just a consistent defensive guy for us. So I'll say those 3.
Yeah. I think for me, whoever starts for Andrew Thomas is going to have to be watched, whether it's Azudu or Neal.
For sure.
Going up against the fierce Eagles pass rush. I'm going to go with Tyler Nubin on the defense, a little bit of a floater, wild card pick this week. He quietly leads the Giants with 39 tackles. Now, granted, you never want to see your safety lead the team in tackles. However, Nubin, like Pinnock, likes to play on that intermediate level of the defense, closer to the line of scrimmage. Belton is more of that free safety. We've been seeing more of a 3 safety look the past 2 weeks defensively because of the matchup when teams have good receivers. Shane Bowen has countered with the 5 DB set and the 3 safety look. It's worked. And the Giants have not been burned the last 2 weeks by star receivers, right? Metcalf, quiet in week 5. This past week, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, sure, they got their bread and butter, but they didn't blow the top off this defense, and it worked. So if you're going to stop A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I want to see a lot out of that secondary. And for me, Tyler Nubin's looked really, really well. And Defense only has 1 pick through the first 6 weeks of the season, ladies and gentlemen. Bold prediction here. Tyler Nubin gets his first interception of his young NFL career this week off of Jalen Hurts, who has 4 picks on the season.
I like that.
And with that being said, one more here for me. I'm going to go with DJ just because I think the Eagles are a team he's always struggled against.
Yeah.
He's always struggled at home. But the Eagles do tend to give up some rushing yards to the quarterback. He leads the Giants with 14 rushing first downs on the season and 164 rushing yards. And through the air, he hasn't been horrible. Week 1 and last week were the 2 biggest concerns for me, Sam. That sack number against him is pretty low, too, from where it was last year. Now, continuity on the O-line definitely concerns me just a little bit.
For sure.
But,
keep an eye on DJ for sure, always.
And then quickly, I guess, injury report for Philadelphia. Milton Williams, defensive tackle, did not practice today with an ankle. Jordan Mailata and Dallas Goedert, both nursing hamstrings. They do expect to get Darius Slay back. And for the Giants, Sam, we're the only team in the league that's missing both our starting kicker and our starting punter. Not a good sign at all. Brian Burns did not practice today either. Hopefully that's nothing serious either. I mean, the Giants, the injury bug, it was going to catch up to us eventually, was it not?
It was. And right after the game, I sent you the message about who I think player of the week is, and I told you who I think was the horrible player of the week, and it was Greg Joseph, because what the heck was that? I mean, our kicking, especially as a team that doesn't score as many touchdowns and does rely on a lot of field goals, you got to hit those. It's horrific watching Greg Joseph miss those kicks last week, because he makes those 2 kicks. Like, it's a different game, and we're having a different conversation today. So, yeah, it's although I love Jamie. He's fantastic for us and always has been, and definitely hope things work out with that. But as a punter with a hamstring, I know hamstring is always going to affect a player, but specifically a punter, not looking great.
No, not at all whatsoever. And 4 of the Giants wide receivers are on the injury report this week. Neighbors expecting to come back. Bryce Ford-Wheaton missed last week's game. Wandale and Slayton, they're just banged up. Those are natural weekly injuries. So, all right. So unfortunately, folks, do have a quick announcement. Our guest for the evening has had some work issues. So I think what we're going to do, Sam, is we're going to have to pivot, give our game predictions, and then I may just do something with him after the fact. Just to get up, maybe like a short or some quick content up, because I know we're on a bit of a time crunch tonight, but we'll go slow just in case I hear anything differently over the next couple minutes. We still have 10 minutes to go, but who do you think wins this game and why? Do the Giants have any shot here to pull this out?
So last week when I did my game prediction, I did a pretty high score because I was very convinced that we were going to be able to battle. Not thinking about the fact that the defense was going to absolutely just push the Bengals down and not have Joe Burrow score as many points as he normally does. And I realized a lot of with my predictions, I go a little bit too high. I think, as I was mentioning earlier, this is going to be a pretty defensive game. I think that it's going to be a pretty low score. And with the spread being +3 for the Giants, I feel confident in that. And I feel like with the bottoming out that the Eagles are currently on, like they are just not looking confident. They're just not looking good. I think that the Giants could get this win. I'm not going to put my life savings on it or anything, but I think a low scoring game, I'm going to say 17-14, the Giants get the win. Because you know what? I feel like every time I've picked the Giants, they've been doing pretty good. So I'm going to stick with that. And definitely am not going to be like shocked if we actually pull out this game.
Absolutely. So you have 17-14 Giants. And Sam, when you've picked the Giants and I haven't, it's usually worked in your favor.
It sure has.
So
gonna go Eagles here?
I feel like I have to, right? It's one of those
why
things.
Not?
I don't want to, but I'm going to. Before we even went live, folks, just so you know, I don't have a hand up my ass. I was picking Philly before the show.
Right.
So with that being said, I'm going to go Eagles. Final score 25-22. Okay. Weird score, but I think field goal game does it. I think the Giants easily cover that spread, but I think the biggest thing, Sam, Andrew Thomas is out. You know, Daniel Jones inconsistent, streaky. We don't know how the O-line's going to look. There's a lot working against the Giants, and with Smith and Brown back, I don't know how they're going to hold up. I don't know how, but that's my prediction. So what we can do, folks, is maybe next 5 minutes or so. Actually, we just got an update. Probably not, but he will do reels for us and send it to me tomorrow. So I will sort that out with Fog. Cool. Stuff happens in life, folks. We apologize about that. But I did want to ask you, Sam, and since Fog can't be here, I do want to ask you, will Nick Sirianni last as the Eagles head coach through the end of the season?
You know, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no, especially if the Giants get a win on Sunday and they beat the Eagles. I think the burner under Nick Sirianni's ass is going to get kicked up a notch, and everybody's going to be like, oh, this is it. He can't even beat the Giants, da-da-da-da-da. So that's going to be a big story if that does happen. Even if they do get the win over the Giants, I mean, we're even seeing Eagles fans, quote unquote, celebrating this past win against the Browns. Like, it's a bad win. I know that's like, there's no such thing as a bad win, but technically it doesn't look good. Honestly, I'd love to just, I know you've said it though, we kind of want him to stick around because of how detrimental he is to this organization. But I think Howie's going to get so sick of him. And I think he's going to
go. Yeah, it's one of those things for me where it all depends on what happens week by week. When I'm looking at Philly's schedule coming up, it's us, obviously, this week. And then after that, they're at the Bengals. They have the Jaguars at home, another team who might fire their coach. At Dallas, another team who might fire their coach. Home against Washington, at the Rams. There's a lot of winnable games coming up where the Eagles will likely be favored. And I'd imagine they'd be favored against both the Bengals and the Jaguars. So I think, Sam, if the Eagles win this week, I don't think the Bengals are your typical 2-4 football team. Now, we all know the saying, your record is who you are. But with Cincinnati, I think they have potential there to upset Philly. I'm trying to think if it happens mid-season. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen after the Steelers game. They're going to lose to the Steelers, and they'll have – actually, I don't know if that makes sense because 3 divisional games left in the season. I was looking at the schedule backwards there. You know what? Okay, got something even better.
Okay.
They're going to lose at the Rams on November 24th, and he'll be fired after that.
I like that.
Before December even starts, because the Rams, not a great record this year. Lose to them, not ideal.
Pack it up.
But, folks, we want to thank you so much for tuning in to the show tonight. Again, we will get some content up with Fog. Unfortunately, couldn't do it on the live tonight, but I'll definitely follow up with him on that once we sign off. Sam, any final thoughts before the Giants take on our most hated rival in the Philadelphia Eagles?
Just like don't embarrass us. Like please. I'm picking you to win this week. Even if you guys don't win, make it a game, make it a battle. I'm gonna have to talk to Jordan next week. I need to come with some sort of something coming from this team. So let's do what we gotta do. Play a good game. Adjust without Andrew Thomas. Do what we have to do. And I can feel the possibility of a win here.
Yeah, it all depends how the Eagles game plan around Malik Neighbors and how the Giants can stop Saquon Barkley or contain Saquon Barkley, because that will open up other areas for Jalen Hurts on that Philly offense. Folks, if you are tuning into us for the first time, want to check out more of our content, remember to follow us on all of our socials below. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Big Blue Avenue. She's Sam Cardona Norberg. I'm Tom Scavetta. We wish you all an awesome evening. Thank you all for all the comments, likes, and subscribes tonight. We appreciate you. And without further ado, let's go Big Blue.